Walk into a modern glass apartment at 4 in the afternoon. The blinds are down. The lights are on. The air conditioner is running at full power. And yet, the space still feels uncomfortable. Now walk into a 1,000-year-old stone temple at the same time of day. No machines, no artificial light, just stone, space, and silence. And somehow, it's cooler, calmer, breathable. That contrast stayed with me because we live in an age of smart buildings, climate control, and advanced materials. And yet, problems like poor sleep, rising energy use, and indoor discomfort are becoming more common, not less. So I began asking a simple question. Were some architectural problems already solved centuries ago? Just explained in a language we no longer use? So, what this episode is about? Today, we'll explore two ideas from ancient Indian architectural texts, especially a classical treatise called the Manasara, and place them next to modern architectural and scientific thinking. Not to glorify the past, not to reject the present, but to see whether good design survives even when language changes. And one important note before we begin. I'm not presenting this as final truth. I'm approaching this as a student, reading old texts, comparing them with modern research, and trying to understand what still makes sense. Let's start with the first principle. Principle 1. Orientation and the East. In texts like the Manasara, orientation isn't treated as decoration, it's treated as a starting decision. A line often quoted in the Vastu tradition goes like this. Purvabhimukham griham prashastam, Dakshinabhimukham madhyam, Paschimabhimukham nindyam, Uttarabhimukham uttamam. Which means, an east-facing house is considered praiseworthy. A south-facing house is moderate. A west-facing house is generally discouraged. A north-facing house is considered exalted. But the key word here is prashastim and uttamam. It doesn't mean magical. It doesn't mean lucky. It means appropriate, recommended, workable. That distinction matters more than most people realize. Ancient structures, precision or belief. Take the Modhera Sun Temple in Gujarat, built in the 11th century. The entire complex is aligned so that, on specific days of the year, the first rays of the morning sun travel straight through the entrance and reach the sanctum. No mirrors, no lenses, no modern instruments, just geometry, observation, and patience. The same logic appears in traditional Indian courtyard houses. Morning activities, cooking, cleaning, prayer, work, happened in naturally lit spaces. Afternoons retreated into shaded areas. Daily life quietly followed the sun. No switches, no schedules, just alignment. Modern science, same idea, new language. Today, modern biology describes something remarkably similar. Chronobiologist Dr. Sachidananda Panda has shown that early daylight exposure plays a major role in regulating our circadian rhythm, affecting sleep quality, energy levels, and even metabolism. Architect Victor Olguet, in Design with Climate, made a simpler observation decades ago. Morning sunlight warms gently, while afternoon western sun causes overheating. What ancient texts described symbolically as Surya, the regulating sun. Modern science studies as light timing. Different language, same observation. Modern failure, a familiar scene. Now contrast this with many modern apartments in cities like Mumbai or Bengaluru. West-facing glass facades absorb intense afternoon heat. Curtains stay closed all morning. Lights stay on all day. Air conditioners run from noon till night. The issue isn't that tradition was right and modernity is wrong. The issue is that design stopped listening to environment. Light shapes our biological rhythm, but buildings also shape something we barely notice: the air we breathe. Principle 2. The central space, Brahmasthana. In the Manasara, the center of a building is treated very differently from the rest. One instruction is often expressed like this: Grahasya madhyabhage tu brahmasthanam prakirtitam tatra na sthapayet kinchit sarvadosha vinashanam. Translated plainly, it says the central part of a dwelling is called the Brahmasthana. Nothing heavy or obstructive should be placed there, as it affects the whole. Notice what this verse talks about: not invisible rays, not rituals, but keeping the center unobstructed. What Brahman meant here? This is where confusion usually begins. Here, Brahman doesn't mean a god sitting in the courtyard. It means that which holds the system together. Calling the center Brahmasthana was less about worship and more about protecting the most critical space from misuse. A cultural rule designed to preserve a functional necessity. Ancient structures, buildings that breathe. Stand in the courtyard of a traditional Nalukettu house in Kerala during the monsoon. Rain falls straight down. Hot air rises upward. Cool air is drawn in naturally. No fans, no ducts. The house breathes. Now move to the Havelis of Rajasthan. Thick outer walls block desert heat. A shaded central courtyard creates pressure differences. Air moves continuously through the building. Different climates, same architectural instinct. Modern theory, explaining what they saw. Today, architecture explains this using terms like stack effect, passive ventilation, thermal comfort. Researchers in biophilic design, like Stephen Kellert, show that access to light, air, and open sky directly affects comfort, health, and mental well-being. Ancient builders didn't write equations. They wrote rules and protected them with language people respected. Modern contrast, efficiency without resilience. Many modern buildings today are sealed, efficient, air-conditioned, perfectly controlled, and completely dependent on machines to remain livable. They work until they don't. Resilience was quietly traded for convenience. Conclusion. The real question. So were these ideas spiritual or scientific? Maybe that's the wrong question. Ancient systems use symbolism to protect function. Modern systems use data to optimize it. And when two approaches, separated by centuries, arrive at similar conclusions, that's not proof. But it is an invitation to think, not to go back in time, but to design forward more thoughtfully.